Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is The Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. You want to see more? Hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2019. We're all the way up to episode 47 now. We're starting our second season in Conference A. First off, it was a surprise to get to Conference A, and then it was a surprise that we did so well in Conference A, and then, well, I was absolutely terrified for this season coming up. Why? Because we graduated a billion players and had no roster left. Bunch of unknowns. The recruiting class was a mess. Things did not go according to plan. Here's the roster for this season as we're getting ready to start our first game of the year. Derek Webb, redshirt junior. Al Morrison, one of the true freshmen coming in. Tim Thomas, a redshirt freshman. Chris Zimmerman is redshirting this season. Derek Candidate, redshirt sophomore. Jerry Smith, transfer, sophomore. He's sitting the season out as a transfer. Nigel Porter, true freshman. Gerald Nicholson, redshirt sophomore. Cameron Nelson, walk-on, senior. Matt Gordon, true freshman. Udonis Cougar, true sophomore. Barnes, junior. And then the centers, Smith, Kirkland, Asbury, a freshman, a senior, and a sophomore. The last one being a walk-on. See, we're pretty young. There are two seniors, but one of them's a walk-on, so there's only one scholarship for next season, and it's already been filled, replacing the senior Shane Kirkland with Jim Ross, number 37 recruit in the nation. We already have a verbal from him, so that part's good. We could focus on the season. Here's the depth chart. Al Morrison, the freshman, 4-star guy, he's going to start. Nigel Porter. Porter was freshman as well. So we've got a freshman, an all-freshman backcourt. Cameron Nelson, walk-on. 4 stars. A walk-on senior. 4 stars. Yeah. I know, right? I know. I'm surprised too. Udonis Cougar, returning starter, 4.5-star guy, only a sophomore. And Shane Kirkland, the senior, 4-star guy. I've got a good starting 5. And then things drop off pretty quickly. This is already better than I expected, though. This season is all about survival. At the end of the last episode, I would have said, not a chance. We are going to rubber band. We're going to relegate. We're going to yo-yo back down to Conference B. Still doesn't look good, but there's a glimmer of hope. First up is California. We're the favorite for that. I think we should do fine in the non-conference games, especially with that starting 5 that we have. Let's see, we're the favorites in all of those games. California, the only one that's theoretically going to keep things close. Glance at the staff real quick. Is there anybody in there last year? There is. And I want to replace him, so we're not going to look to re-sign Gottlieb. So, let's get the season underway. We'll open up with our first game. Cal will be probably the only one that we watch at this point, as, you know, it's non-conference. It's going to be the easier part of our schedule. I'm not saying we're going to go undefeated or anything like that. This is not the team that I've had the last couple of years. This is our rebuilding year. Absolutely. Super young. Not coming off the best recruiting class. going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. How long is it going to take these players to gel? How long is it going to take them to learn the system? I don't know. We could lose this game on paper. Sure, we're great. But starting a couple freshmen in the backcourt, starting a walk-on in a Conference A school, and I only had one top recruit coming in. I'm not worried about my post. I'm going to be good there. All right, so we get the game underway, and we open with our first bucket of the season, but Cal comes right down to the other end and bags a three-pointer and instantly puts us behind. So far, the defense looking to struggle a little bit, or a lot. Are they 3 for 3? They are. They are 3 for 3. Our offense looks good here early on, scoring on all but one possession, but defensively, a bit of a struggle. That's the first miss of the game for Cal. Early two-point lead here. We will try to fly through this game. I don't plan on slowing it down at all. Al Morrison has yet to attempt a shot, but the freshman has 3 assists already for us. 4 now. Kirkland's got 7 points on 3 of 3 shooting already. A few scattered rebounds out there, but for the most part, both teams are scoring. Defensively, that's our issue. We are struggling on the defensive end. Offensively, 5 of 8. We've already had 6 free throw attempts. We're 1 for 1 beyond the arc. We're good. But we've committed 6 fouls in this game. And Cal's shooting 8 for 11. So either they've scored or we've put them on the line almost every possession so far. So the defense is the real struggle, at least through the first half of the first half. Yes, the first half of our first game of the season. Honestly, I wish college would adopt 4 quarters. Do 10 minutes, that's fine. But why they do this 20-minute half thing, it's just beyond me. They're the only ones doing it. Nobody else does it. Just college. Not much needs to change about the rules within college basketball, but that's one that still annoys the heck out of me, because especially to try to talk about it. By the way, Al Morrison, he's got 8 assists already in this game. He might only have two points, but wow. Just wow. And most of it's to Kirkland. Kirkland's got 13 already. I'd love to see Morrison score a little bit more, just so we can start talking about double-doubles on a regular basis for him. If he's busted out 8 assists in the first half, I think he'll have no problem getting to 10 before the end of this game. Nice score there. Score is level now, 34 apiece. Kirkland sits down for the first time, but he's got 15, 4, and 3 right now. The only downside is he's also got 3 turnovers. He's only missed 2 shots, but he's also got 2 fouls. So not a perfect showing, but wow. Nigel Porter off bench, 6 points. He's doing well. Cougars got 3 fouls, so that's not good. Trail by 3 here, heading into half. Nice 3-pointer there to tie the score, but then again we go right down to the other end. Give up the easy bucket and then miss the shot at the buzzer, so we trail by 2 at the end of the first half. Really poor showing in just 2 ways. One, the insane number of fouls that we committed there in the first half. Cougar and Kirkland, 6 fouls between the 2 of them. Smith, the backup, has 2. Matt Gordon, the backup, has 2. So we are fouling in the post a ton. That was a little bit of a problem last season as well. So I don't know if maybe I need to go in and tweak our defensive settings I mean, I do play pretty aggressively on defense, so there will be some fouls. By the way, we've opened up the second half with a quick lead here. Morrison now on 9 assists. Webb's been quiet, but Porter's got 12 points off the bench. Been a really good scoring option there. Kirkland and Cougar still sitting out here through the first 5 minutes of the second half as they both have those 3 fouls. They are joined now. Porter's got 3 fouls. Kirkland has 4 fouls. He never even came into the game. Did he come into the game at all? He was on the bench as far as I saw. If he was in the game, he was in the game for 2 seconds and got called for a foul. Porter's got 4 fouls now. Gordon's got 3 fouls. So they're going to foul out just about my entire team, and that is going to be the only reason for us to potentially lose this game as we trail by 3 here. We've been called for more fouls this half than they've been called for the entire game. Missed 3 there. 2-point lead. Another 3-point attempt. That one's missed as well. Back-to-back misses there. And, of course, another foul. So they get 2 points that way. 3 straight possessions without a score. Go ahead and take a timeout, see if we can come out with a design play. Another miss, but the offensive rebound, another miss. That is 5 straight misses on offense. We've gone down to 54% in field goal percentage. We finally score and instantly get back into the lead. So at least the defense is stepping up a bit from where they were. Turnover on that one. Close range bucket from the block. We can't score. Missed the 3, but we get fouled, but not on the shot, apparently. We only had 2 shots on the free throw. But 3-point lead, 6 to play. Got a little better in that department, but I have 3 players with 4 fouls, 2 players with 3 fouls, and the refs seem to be keeping up the pressure on us, not necessarily Cal. Cal up to 6 fouls at least, but we're about to hit double bonus, so they're going to start getting 2 free throws the rest of the way. But we've opened up an 11-point lead, 3.5 to play. Morrison, 11 assists, a little more quiet this time. Kirkland finally back. He's played 2 seconds the entire half until this last minute. Just 5 rebounds today, 19 points. I mean, that is a huge amount of production that we were missing with him sitting out virtually the entire second half, other than he'll get 3 minutes out of 20 if he doesn't foul out here in the final minute. But it's 83-69. We're cruising to that victory now. Porter, 13. Morrison is 11 and 6 on the rebound. Still just 2 points, but he only attempted the 3 field goals. He's had 0 attempts in the second half, though he did get 2 free throws moments ago. Final score, 85-69. Kirkland couldn't get to 20, but he certainly should have, if he had played more in the second half. Nobody fouled out in the end. That part's a little surprising. And Cougar stayed at 3 fouls all the way through the second half. So he did a good job calming down. But that was ugly. Is that one of those we treat it like a preseason game in that the players come out, both teams, the coaches come out, they do things that they wouldn't necessarily do all the time. Guys who are going to get minutes that they wouldn't necessarily get all the time. And referees, likewise, they're trying to build up fitness for the season, trying to get ready. They want to focus on something. They're going to focus on something. And damn the man, they're going to call whatever they're going to call. They're going to blow that whistle when they're going to blow that whistle. That's what that felt like. That was ugly. I mean, it's 2D. I don't see the action. I have no idea whether we're committing those fouls or not, or whether we're being hard done by. But that was an insane amount of calls. And on the flip side, Cal wasn't getting called for anything. We weren't going to the free throw line again and again. They weren't in foul trouble. That was a close game till pretty late on, and they did seem to relax a little bit on the calls towards the end of the game. Neither team was getting called in the final minutes, other than when Cal seemed to put a little pressure on that last 2 minutes, doing whatever they could, hopefully do something, get something, when it was too late ultimately. But that was rough. Gosh, I've had foul trouble. I've had guys foul out. I'm not sure I've seen it to that extent. 5 players in serious foul trouble. Was it 5? Did we get to a 6th before the end? Jeez. Whew. I coach basketball in real life. I've had players in that. I've had a player that committed 1 foul the entire game and fouled out of the game. But that player argued his way to the first foul, then committed the second foul, then argued his way into getting that third foul called on him, and then he had a big target on his back. So it was no surprise when that 4th and 5th foul came. But that's what I'm talking about. Your mouth can draw a whistle as much as anything else. And some refs are going to go direct. You mouth off to them. They're going to tee you up. Which, by the way, you did get a tee in that game. But some of them do it in an indirect way. Some of them they're going to hear you running your mouth, and then they're going to take something that is 90% clean, 10%, the tiniest contact, something there, just a hint of it, they're going to run with it. You run your mouth, you annoy them, oops, whistle. That happens. I understand. Referees are human. And I fully understand because I've been coaching basketball for 10 years. Lost track. I don't know. 10 years. I'll just throw that number out. It's somewhere around that, give or take 1 or 2. I'd have to think about it. It's been different teams, different schools, different situations. But in college, I didn't coach basketball. I coached baseball. I coached football. But in college, I reffed basketball. That was one of my extra part-time jobs for spending money in college. I've been on the other side. I understand. Okay, Ross signs his letter of intent. That's good. Cleveland State, let's check out scouting report. Looking good. Advantage at every starting position. And that's been fairly consistent. Our bench is pretty weak, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some more of what we see here with Oakland. I mean, it's Oakland. They are Conference T, and their bench is better than my bench. Or at least equal to my bench. By the way, we are 2-0. I didn't even see what that last game score was, but we're going to move quickly through some of these non-conference games. Cal was the toughest opponent, at least out of the first 6. We've seen 6 scouting reports so far, or 8? 6, I think. Cal was definitely the toughest opponent of the first 6. So if we could survive Cal and survive that, we can get through. So I prided myself as a referee in not letting coaches or parents or players get to me, and remaining objective and remaining true to what league I was reffing at the time that I was reffing it. I did some low-level stuff. I did some low-level youth stuff. I did high-level stuff. All youth. I didn't do it for a ton of years. It was one specific organization that I worked for and with. And I was not looking to go ref high school games or anything like that because I was busy with slamming 6 years of college into a 4-year window at a school that was notoriously tough on grading, and into a master's program that was ranked 3rd in the nation and really hard to get into. So I didn't want to take on more than what I could handle. I had enough on my plate. So I was happy to do youth games, but I did both the low level and the elite games, leagues, various ages. So you ref depending on the level that you're at, depending on the goals of the league. You don't call everything that you see. Certain things are allowed to go on. Certain amounts of contact are allowed. It is a contact sport. Not every touch is a foul. So, I understand reffing is a difficult job, especially when you start adding in the parents and the players and the coaches barking at you the whole time. I went through a phase when I first started coaching basketball that I was awful to the refs. Absolutely awful. Because I was coaching top tier high school basketball at that point. And the referees, this was overseas, so this was not in the US. So that top tier high school basketball was not our top tier high school basketball in the US. We're 4-0, by the way. Check out a couple more scouting reports. At some point, I'll look back at the scores. I'd like to actually check out maybe our next... Okay, here comes our first challenge, Memphis. And then Auburn. We are favored over Memphis, but it is a much closer contest, and we're going to be on the road for that one. They are Conference B. That is not an easy game, and that's actually going to be a first really good test. Auburn is going to be a bit of a test. They're Conference E. They're level on the bench. Their players aren't that far behind us. It's nice to see, though, that we are showing up somewhere in the neighborhood of being recognized as being okay. RPI is still a bit low, but we've only played Cal so far, so no surprise through those first 4 games. That's going to be a week away. Let's fly through this next week, and maybe I'll go back and check. Not even a box score. I'll go in and look at statistics. Let's quickly get through 2 more games. Theoretically, what I expect anyway. I'm not saying it's 100% most likely, but I'd say at least 90% that we should be 6-0. Then we'll get into something tough, and we'll focus on that upcoming. So we'll check those first 6 games halfway through the non-conference schedule as we go on. But in the meantime, like I said, it was overseas, but it was high school. You expect more out of your referees at the highest level of basketball on island. You expect the best referees that the island has got. That wasn't the case. They were nowhere near the level. They weren't even as good as... Hey, look who's 4-1. They weren't even as good as the rookie referees that I worked with occasionally and helped train when I was a referee in college. And like I said, I did low and high level. So in those low level games, I'd occasionally get a high school kid who would come in and train as a referee, and they'd pair him up with me because I was still younger and good at what I was doing, and I was at that higher level, and I was willing to do the lower level games and not demanding just the high level games. And so it was a good opportunity for them to work along an experienced ref and themselves gain some experience, and through that partnership they could develop their skills. Most of them were better than the refs that we had. So I had this terrible habit of just tearing into them when they were getting calls wrong. And I don't think they were a big fan of me. But to be honest with you, there's only a handful of schools that are on the island. It was public school and private school all combined into one league. And of all the schools... I've got an injured player. We go 5-1 here. I'll look at scores. We blew out Oakland. I want to check out the injury here first. It's Asbury, our backup center, sprained wrist, a couple of weeks, so it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's only a sprain, so I would imagine he's going to be eligible to play some. But, the AI will pick up somebody in reserve. Post-game incident report. A couple of guys came to me. Matt Gordon was mouthing off about Cougar. It's the usual stuff. I don't like him. He's much better. Gordon, really? Cougar's our top player. He's our best player. So, you're an idiot. Hopefully that's a one-off incident there. We don't have to worry about that becoming a thing. Let's get into the statistics. Let me finish what I was saying. So, I tore into them because I had expectations. But, of all the schools we had, you had private schools. There's money in those private schools. And then the public schools didn't have the money, didn't have the support. And the island was somewhat segregated in the way that things were set up, especially in terms of finances. There was some segregation between those schools. We were the poor school. We were the ones who were not seen favorably by others on the island. So it was nice when we won soccer, when we won baseball, when we won basketball. It was nice when we went undefeated 3 seasons in a row before going into a rebuild. But the refs didn't care for us too much. They didn't care for my players too much. I think they had some issues with me, but they definitely had some issues with my school. And I took it to heart. Ever since then, I have tried really hard to be a better man, to calm down, feel their pain, know that it's difficult, and accept things. And actually, since coming back stateside anyway, the quality has been better. There's still issues, but the quality is better. Reffing, absolutely. They make mistakes, I let it be. There's only been one ref in the last 5-6 years of coaching that I've taken a bit of issue with, and every time that I see that they're there these days, I'm just like, ugh. And then talk myself through it, like, stay calm. Stay calm. It'll be okay. Oh, of course. Asbury, well, he hasn't shot much, but best field goal percentage. Look at Kirkland. At 10 attempts a game, he's shooting 68%. 10 attempts a game for Nigel Porter not off the bench, that's right. Freshman, starting shooting guard. 10 attempts a game, he's a shooter, and he's a good shooter. Shooting guard, right? 56% for a shooting guard is freaking crazy. That guy's going to the NBA. I mean, 4 of those attempts with a 44% percentage shooting, 3-point shooting percentage, that's crazy. I mean, Kirkland's 57 beyond the arc, but that's about 1 attempt a game. That's 7-8 attempts total. So it's not a huge sample size. It's still really good. Okay, rebounds. Cougar, Melson, nicely done. Defensive. Boy, we are not getting too many defensive rebounds. Kirkland only, nobody's even above 4. Cougar 6.5 rebounds a game. Melson 5.5. Kirkland just 4.5. That's garbage. He needs more than that. Morrison and Porter each getting about 3. 9 assists a game for Morrison. That's crazy high. Melson's doing good in that department too. Steals, like that number to be a bit higher actually than what it is. I mean, that you add that together, that's actually quite a bit in the steals department. But that's kind of our bread and butter defensively. And when we're committing the kind of fouls we are, you need those steals to counteract putting them on the line. Yeah, Kirkland, almost 4 fouls a game. Not good. Not good at all. Kirkland just under 15 points. Porter's at 14 points on, well, half a shot attempt more per game. I'll take that. Kirkland's proven. Senior. Porter's a freshman. So that's okay. Morrison, okay. First game he didn't get much. He only had 4 points, but since then he's really stepped it up. Morrison's 12 points a game. With 9 assists a game, he's almost averaging a double-double. That's crazy awesome. Cougar not putting up huge numbers, but he is leading us for rebounds, steals, blocks, and very few turnovers. And his foul's a little bit better, but still a bit higher than it could or should be, and 10 points a game. Melson only 7, but that is perfectly fine as our walk-on support guy stepping into a position that suddenly had a insane, massive vacancy. Unfortunately, we took that loss here early on, but still, not too bad. Not too bad at this point. So I'm on a bit of a time crunch today. This episode's going to end up being a little bit shorter, and I'm going to try to wrap up the non-conference schedule. The only thing that ultimately means is I'm not going to 2D sim any more games. We're just going to quick sim every game. But instead of quick simming the entire week, like I've done up till this point, I will try to get a little bit. Portland, big advantage there. At least like Memphis and Auburn. Get a better look at those games, take it day by day through this next week. Then we'll go back and check some scores. But I'd like to get through that 12 games, 13 games, depending on what we end up with tournament-wise. I think that Memphis one could be a tournament game. Nope, doesn't appear to be. Memphis 4-2 right now. We'll go back, check the box score on this one, though. Got to slow down at least a little bit for a big game like that. We are on the road. Yes, yeah. Wanted to say, wasn't sure. There it is. This is at Memphis. I've been there, by the way. Whew, got it. Got the win. Conference B opponent Memphis, 93-78 on that game. Melson had 14. Big day. Just 2 of 2 shooting, but 7 points. That's 4 blocks. Nice job, son. Nice job. Cougar, 7 of 8 shooting, 19 points. Oh, that's plus minus. Sorry, 7 points for Melson. Da-da-da-da. Okay, yeah, plus minus, but still, really good day for him. Kirkland, 5 of 9, 13 points. Porter, those guys all had 7 and 8 rebounds, respectively. 5 assists for Cougar. Morrison, a little bit more of a quiet day, 5 points, but 5 assists, but 17 points. Also, 6 turnovers. Only 1 beyond a single turnover in that game. So Morrison not distributing the ball quite as well as he has against a better opponent in the Memphis Tigers, and just 5 of 10 shooting. So he actually took the most attempts, he and Matt Gordon. Porter struggled a little bit in this one as well. So the 2 freshmen, not their best day. Not their best. I can see maybe why Matt Gordon thinks he should start, though, as he is a very active player off the bench. Points in the paint, small edge, second chance points, comfortable edge. Fast break was pretty close to level. And we came from behind. 23 points over them in the second half to win that game. Asbury down to 90 days on his recovery. That's going to boost, if we win our other game this week anyway, that is going to boost our RPI quite a bit, as that was definitely our biggest matchup of the season so far. Anyway, these days, on the sidelines, I try really hard to never argue with the refs anymore. Now we have our tournament. It's this one. I thought it might have been the Memphis game, but it's this one. The Emerald Coast Classic. We open up against Auburn, who are just 3-4. And what was it, like Conference E or something like that? So if we win this, we've got more games to play this week. And I have done a much better job of that. Like this last basketball season, I coached throughout the entire year. I coach volleyball, basketball, and track and field these days. I'm player coach, soccer, 2 soccer teams. And I've coached many other sports over the years. Baseball, football. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. That's how much time I spend that. Okay, so Texas A&M is our next one. They're 5-1. That's a pretty good team. Conference B. So here's our next big matchup. And this is the first time this season where we are not a favorite. And this is where I start to get a little bit worried about our level right now this season compared to last. How strong are we going to be in Conference A? I know we're not going to be in the upper echelon at all. But can we be above the relegation zone? Can we be comfortably above the relegation zone? Or are we going to have to be realistic and we're in that relegation zone? That's a win. That's a big win against Texas A&M as we go 8-1 now. And that's going to see a massive jump to the RPI with those 3 wins. There you go, up to 36. And ranked number 25. And the Emerald Coast Classic is not done. Unfortunately, though, we picked up an injured player, and it is a very key component. Al Morrison, sprained toe, 8 days. We'll see if he still plays through that or not. But the next game in the Emerald Coast Classic, and it appears to be the final, as there wouldn't be any others, would there? It's number 15 Stanford, who are 8-0. We won by 13, 85-72. We got the job done in the first half, held serve through the second half. Al Morrison had the big game with 18 points and 6 assists and 4 blocks. Couple steals to go with it, so massive day defensively as well as offensively. And he carried us through. Every starter into double digits. No big rebounding performances, though. Melson, 5 assists again. Turnovers, Cougar and Morrison, each with more than their fair share. But look at that. Kirkland with 4 blocks, Morrison with 4 blocks, Cougar with a couple blocks. Nice. I would imagine the Stanford game, though, is probably going to be trouble for us. We've got Villanova coming up the following week, and wow, they are down this year. Stanford, Conference A opponent. Whoa, we're the favorite. Of course, that's taking Morrison as a starter. Without Morrison, how far does that flip the switch? Go Oregon. No. Another injured player, too. Oh, screw you. We won the game, though. We won the game. Morrison did not play. Did he? No. Morrison did not play. Kennedy is now got a sprained ankle as well. Kennedy picked up 12 minutes. But Derek Webb off the bench, 13 points. Well, getting the start in place of Morrison. 13 points for him. Only a few assists, though. Big day for Kirkland, 17 and 12. Massive double-double. Though not his best shooting day at all. Cougar, 8 and 9. 6 turnovers, though. And Melson, quietly a very key component of this team. So we win that tournament and go to 9 and 1. That was really unexpected. But 3 big injuries right now. We need to get healthy. Portland, that only game coming up. Let's go ahead and cruise through that. And we should be able to see out our non-conference schedule here without any road bumps. Or maybe just a minor one. Anytime you're on the road, there's always a chance that you're going to lose a game, no matter who you're playing. So, nothing's a guarantee. But we should be able to cruise through these last, I think it's 3 conference games. Oh, did I mention rivalries? No matter how much of a gulf there is between you and a rival, you will not win them all. You will not win them all. Doesn't matter whether you're in the first conference and they're in the last. We are in the first conference now. They're not in the last, but last I checked, Portland was probably only about 5 or 6 conferences from the bottom. And they had a decent record from what I saw from the scouting report, but wow. We finished Stanford off and win the tournament, which, not a big deal. I mean, it's just a regular season, nothing tournament. But it certainly looked good for the RPI and for the ranking. And then we lose to Portland. Of course, I had 3 players out injured. It's down to 2. Kennedy, 4 days left. Morrison, just 1 day left. They'll be back. So we were missing 2 key guards and our backup center. Is that the reason we lost, or is it just that Portland came out that hungry to beat their crosstown rival? Probably a combination, I would imagine. Still ranked, actually. Kind of surprised by that. So we got that Villanova matchup. And this one. But I'm going to do those last couple games off camera, and I'll see you back at the start of the next part. Let's see. Team schedule. Da-da-da-da. There's those scores. Not necessarily box scores, but... So yeah, we did through and through. And Portland beat us by 9, and we were on the road for that one. So road games are road games. Road games are a challenge. That, by the way, is 5 straight games away from home. We head to Villanova next for our 6th away from home. 3 of those in neutral territory. But still, definitely a challenge. Denver will be the last home game to close out the non-conference schedule. And then we get Oklahoma State at home, opening things up. And you can see just how many teams there are inside the top 10 here in Conference A right now. That is a big concern going forward, as the league is absolutely loaded. Only 4 teams are unranked. So if you would believe the media, as number 25, we're going to be the last team just above the relegation zone. And that was not something they thought of us earlier in the season, but only after beating Stanford, dropping them a few spots on where they were seen. And if you look at everybody else, they're actually the next one above me now. Could be a long season. I think mediocrity would be a good thing. But like I said, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my road to the record. Bye for now.